gets attention and who grew up in a white culture more than a black culture, I'm going to tell you that getting attention from black guys is not a badge of honor if you're white.
Okay.
And I'm white.
Hey guys, so I wanted to come on here and talk about some videos that was sent to me by a subscriber, and I decided to put together a mini documentary for you so that I can really show this mentality. And these are TikTok videos, and you guys know I said TikTok is literally a cesspool of black men worshiping women of no color, talking about their fetishizing of black men and mixed race babies who look more white than black. So I tend to stay off of TikTok, and we know that recently it was announced that 45 has put a ban on TikTok to where you wouldn't be able to download TikTok videos and view TikTok videos and things of that sort. That hasn't happened yet, obviously, because these videos were sent to me, but let's see if that actually takes effect. I think ultimately if that does happen, it will be great, because TikTok is, like I said, a cesspool of self-hating black men, but it is very eye-opening and revealing. And the videos that I'm going to show you guys are really eye-opening, because I often come on here and I exclusively talk about the pathology of black men when it comes to dating out. And while I sometimes talk about the mentality of men of no color and other groups of people, how they perceive this, nothing is better than seeing their perspective. And so on each of these videos that I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you comments from people of no color so you can understand and see how delusional black men really are. I've been said that they run around here and it's almost like an addiction to where they need to believe that somehow their dating decisions are affecting both black women and men of no color, because black men lack resources, because they're not really fans of using intellect, because they don't believe that there's anything that they can really compete with. They tend to compete with sexual access. So they run around engaging in behaviors that, quite frankly, number one, every group of men is engaging in, and number two, quite frankly, they're late to the party. Men of no color have been engaging in interracial unions for a very long time, even among black men who didn't even really have a choice in what they did. So I think that this is interesting that all of a sudden, because they've gotten permission from men of no color to involve themselves in relationships with women of no color, somehow they've convinced themselves that they're doing something taboo, that they're breaking rules, that they're doing something that men of no color are not allowing them to do. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And when you see the comments on each one of these videos, you're going to see, based on the pathology of men of no color specifically, they understand very well what's happening here. They're not concerned. They don't feel like this is a threat. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's what I've been telling you guys, which is that they see this as a benefit to them. So before I get into the first video, I want to read this email and say shout out to, I will call this person Ruthie. It says, "Hey Cynthia, recently I joined TikTok for some extra petty reasons and ran across some interesting videos. One from a mixed child, a woman of no color, and another from a black man. The comments under the black man's video was extremely interesting. The men of no color were pointing out that we as a group of people are getting whiter and whiter. I was shook. I don't think that they were paying that much attention. The comments on the mixed girls TikTok were revealing too. Anywho, enjoy." So what I will say is that I think that this person may have meant the boys, because there isn't a mixed girls video. This is a mixed boy, it appears, in this video that I'll get to later. But I first want to go over this video. And this video involves a lighter skinned black man, and he has the very pathology that I've been telling you guys about, where they like to wave their access in other men's face, specifically men of no color and black women, as a means of saying, hey, I got your woman. But this also relates to this flaw in black male pathology, where they think that somehow, number one, they carry a seed when they carry a fertilizer, and number two, that somehow their genetic genetics are so dominant that despite being able to give one time in history where this happened, they really think that their black gene is somehow going to turn another group of people black and somehow erase them. I will emphasize the point that this has literally never happened in history. However, they somehow believe that this is the case. Take a look at this video and then I'll come back for commentary.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but 100% of white boys need to step their game up and take care of these white girls. Because guess what? Y'all better get y'all shit together, treat these white girls right. They keep coming over to the black side having mixed kids. Ain't gonna be no more white boys. I'm going.
Now, you guys saw that short video and you saw in here where he decides to address 100% of men of no color. And the way he's going about it in this video is somehow as if he can one-up men of no color, as if their women are divesting from men of no color because they believe that black men are a better option because they're a better man. And this couldn't be further from the truth. Despite the many videos we've seen, even the tiny little clip in the beginning where you saw the woman of no color telling her black boyfriend that even attention from black men is not a badge of honor, what we've never heard them speak to is the type of partner he is, his intellectual abilities, his strength. We never hear them talk about that. We hear them talk about superficial things like their melanin, their skin tone, their sexual prowess, and so on and so forth. So when women of no color go to black men, they're not going there with any intent to stay for the most part. They're going there to get a kink off. They're using and exploiting black men's highly publicized and well-known self-hatred. That's just the reality of what's going on. And when you look at these comments that I'm going to show you, you're going to see that not only do women of no color understand that they have the power dynamic in this relationship, and when they lose value or social status among their own men, they can go over to a lesser group of men who glorify whiteness, who believe that as long as they come to the table with their whiteness, then they're literally the image of God. Skincare is very important, so if you're looking for products that are safe, natural, and effective, go to qualityhandmadesoaps.com. This is a black-owned business where you can find all natural handmade lotions, body butters, sugar scrubs, bath bombs, and more. Go to qualityhandmadesoaps.com because handmade is the best made. But they think that somehow we don't see that psychology. I also want to talk about this ignorance of biology that these men tend to have, because we see in these circles all the time, and you're going to see them in the comment section to an extent, where you have black men, again, thinking that they have some kind of dominant gene that has the ability to erase other groups of people, when in fact, there's only one group of men on the face of this planet who have a history of erasing other groups, and it's not black men. It is men of no color. You can look throughout history and you can see men of no color's resume as it applies to whitening out groups, but you cannot see any event ever in history where black men have used their so-called dominant genes to erase anything, specifically anything white. What they are doing is they're actually creating more whiteness. So I want you guys to look at these comments. These comments are very revealing. So if you need to pause the video to see them, definitely pause the video, because I want you to see what people of no color are saying, because this will give you perspective in regards to the notion of black dominant genetics. And then I'll come back and tell you what dominant genetics actually mean. Take a look at these comments and then I'll come back. Now, you guys saw those comments, and there was a lot going on in those comments. And I'll tell you the psychology of what you just saw in the comment section in just a minute. First, I want to talk about what a dominant gene actually means, because that is what this man was sitting in here talking about. It's a flawed logic. Not only is it biologically false, it's intellectually false as well. And it's simply a way for black men to feel as though they have some power in a society where they really don't have any social power. But a dominant gene actually refers to the relationship between two versions of a gene. So individuals receive two versions of each genes. These are known as alleles from each parent. If the allele of a gene are different, one allele will be expressed, and that one allele that's being expressed is called the dominant gene. The effect of the other allele that's suppressed is called the recessive gene, meaning that in order for a recessive gene to show up and be expressed, you have to have two recessive to one dominant. So it doesn't have anything to do with race. It has to do with genetics and characteristic expressions, meaning in order for a person to have green eyes as opposed to brown, you would need two recessive traits for a green eye, or else the eyes will be brown. So that's the best way that I can tell you. And if you look at this little image here, it does a good job of showing you what dominant versus recessive genes are. So it doesn't mean that if you mix a black person with a person of no color, then that person is going to be black. That's not what that means. It means the gene expression, the phenotype may look more like a black person, but it doesn't mean that that person does not possess primarily European genetics. That is not what that means. So when you hear them running around talking about dominant genes in reference to somehow them being able to erase whiteness and turn it black, that's nonsense. And it only shows that they don't really have a working knowledge of how biology actually works. Now, let's get to these comments. And I want to ask you guys something as you watch this. In these comments, did you see anything that would indicate that men of no color are somehow threatened by black men's access to their women? I didn't. Most of the comments were like this comment here from this Dustin Lee Owens, a man of no color, who said, "You do realize black and white makes gray, then white and gray makes white. So technically, the white girls are outbreeding y'all." And that is exactly what is happening. You didn't just see a comment from Dustin Lee Owens saying this. You saw a lot of people saying it. There was a man in there who said, "Your logic is unbelievable. Whatever you smoke isn't working." You had people in there saying, "We'll keep on mixing with women of no color, and the only thing that's going to happen is that there's going to be no more black males." You see another one that said, "If this isn't some of the most ignorant stuff I've heard in a long time, you mix white with any color, it gets lighter, add more, even lighter." So they understand that you're not erasing them. You're erasing yourself. They also understand how you leave these women of no color that you claim to value. That's why you saw in there them saying, well, you're going to go to the dark side and end up on food stamps or have no father. And at face value, a lot of people will say, well, this is very racist and stereotypical. And it may be the case. There's a lot of truth to that. Of course, it can be coming from a racist perspective. However, if you look at the data, most women of no color, and just women in general, who have children with black men are actually single mothers on government assistance. There was a study done that concluded that upwards of 92% of non-black women who have children with black men are unmarried, single mothers, and on welfare. So is it really racist or stereotypical to point out that once these women go over to black men, they end up single mothers on welfare? Or are these men just stating facts and letting it be known that they see what black men are doing? Now, before I go to the next video, I also want to point out this fact. Most of the men in here said, you can keep those women, we don't want them. We see the women that you're with and you can keep them. So they already have the understanding that you're not getting the women that they want. You're not getting the high value women of no color. You're not getting select women of no color. You're getting the ones that they see have no value. Just like the woman in the clip said, attention from black men lowers their social value. And it's showing in the comments that these men are not concerned. So you can waive access to their women that they gave you permission to in their face all you want to. They still understand that, number one, you're not erasing them. Number two, you're not getting quality women. And number three, they're going to get the same outcome that you give black women. So this isn't anything that they would have to fear. But the thing of it is I want you guys to look at this video, and it might be familiar to you. And this is going to point out some of the cognitive dissonance that black men have. Because while I will admit that there is a high rate of interracial dating among black men, they literally date out more than any other group of people. You can say it's Asian women and men of no color, but that's interethnic dating. It's not interracial dating. And even if it was, they're looking for mates that look the closest like them. Now, you can argue this, but you'll be arguing it on your own, because I'm not going to debate something that's a fact. But black men date out more than any other race of people. However, it goes back again. What are these relationships founded on? Are they founded on love, like is what you hear these emotional black men talking about when they'll talk about their Becky, then their Stargates, and love is love, and they're free to love whoever they want to? Is it a one-sided love, or is it mutual? Now, some of you guys may be familiar with this video, as it's really not new. However, what I really want to show you for the most part is the comments, because again, the comments are a mixture of black men, black women, men of no color, and women of no color. So I want to point out the mentality once again of people of no color and their perception of what black men are doing. Because keep in mind, the reason why black men put this on display so much is because they are trying to trigger black women and men of no color. If they didn't believe that they were somehow affecting the emotions of black women or men of no color, they wouldn't even desire to do this, because again, this is how they compete. You're dealing with a group of men who lack resources, they lack social power, they don't own anything, so they're on the bottom of the social scale, and the way that they can elevate themselves, or they think that they're elevating themselves, is to be able to have access to the women who are tied to the dominant male in society, and that means women of no color. So therefore, they automatically will decrease the value in their own women whose social status is tied to theirs, because they are a conquered group of men and they're on a lower social status. By default, black women fall to the social status of black men unless she's elevated above black men by the dominant male group. And that is essentially what happened. But in the minds of black men, they still somehow believe that black women is down there with them. And if she's not down there with them, he's going to seek to drag her down there with him, because misery likes company. And he needs to feel like either someone is under him or right there with him. This is why you're going to see, well, black women do this, black women do that, although none of these have anything to do with black women. Why do black men take a situation that has absolutely nothing to do with black women and mention black women? Well, because these are the only people he thinks he can compete with in reality. He may wave around women of no color in front of men of no color and talk about his access and how much better he is, but he knows that really he cannot compete with men of no color. He fears and admires men of no color. He wants to be men of no color. So he already knows that he can't level up. There isn't any way he can level up to men of no color. He will try to do that with their women, but the only thing that he's doing is dragging down the social status of that woman of no color, as pointed out by the woman of no color in the beginning of the video. Take a look at this video. I'll come back for further commentary.
Okay, can you elaborate as to why specifically black guys?
Yes, black guys are melanated, and I want my children to survive, and I know that the only way for them to survive in the future is for them to have melanin in their skin. So that's the way for me to, you know, make my legacy continue.
Okay, I like that answer. That's actually a really unique answer. We were here yesterday. We didn't encounter that answer yet.
Now, you guys saw that video, and again, I do understand that some people have likely already saw that video where you have a black man, and we see this often, going to women of no color and different ethnicities of women of no color and asking them why do they prefer black men, or who do they prefer, black men or men of no color? Because again, this is how they compete. They need this constant validation from women who are not black. And this is why I say, black women, just understand the pathology and don't really get emotionally tied to what black men are doing, because at the end of the day, it is his low self-esteem and his lack of self-value for himself, in addition to his position in society, that is driving him to go out and seek the approval of other groups of women. This is how he gets his validation. This is how he gets his worth. This is how he feels like a man, because again, he's not going to go out and compete, obviously, the way other men compete. He's not going to display his manhood by conquering other groups of men, which is what other men do. He has to do that through women, which actually shows that he is not a man, because while he believes that he can show his manhood by way of other women, all other male groups within society knows that the only way that you can show that you are a man is by first conquering men, then going and waving basically the spoils of your success, i.e. other women and other people's face. But he seems to think that somehow he can cut out the part about competing with other men and jump to waving around women. It's like, well, we already know that you can only be with those women because men of no color gave you permission to. Literally, when they signed Loving versus Virginia, there were a few cases before that, Pace v. Alabama, Perez v. Sharp, and McLaughlin v. Florida, in individual states that actually did legalize interracial dating after black men pursued it. But we know the one that legalized it across this country was Loving versus Virginia. So either way, whether it was one of those state-based cases or a Supreme Court case that gave it permission all over the place, they still needed permission. And how they bring up black women in every single situation, because again, if they're not talking about men of no color, they have to bring up black women, because these are the two people that they feel like they have to trigger. And they do this with women of no color because they seem to think that somehow black women are so shook and so insecure about them having access to women of no color that if they just wave their access in front of her and say, you need to do better, black woman, you better get it together, you better level up, step it up, or we're going to keep getting these women. This is how they try to manipulate and control your behavior. But at the end of the day, more and more people are starting to see who they really are. And this woman in this video said, look, the only reason why I want black men is because of their melanin. This is a survival tactic. And I want to say something here. She's not talking about melanin. She's talking about you melanin, because even as a woman of no color, she possesses a melanin type. She possesses pheomelanin, which creates white, yellow, and red skin tones. So you will see this pheomelanin. You will see them in white Asians. You will see them in white Hispanics. You will see them in regular white people. You see it in anybody who basically has white or red or yellowish skin tones. These are pheomelanin producing. Pheomelanin is the exact opposite of eumelanin, which is what she's after. And eumelanin creates the black and brown skin tone. So anybody who has a black and brown skin tone, regardless to the European defined racial classifications, they are descendants of Africans, because this eumelanin is only produced by Africans. So she is after eumelanin. That is why she wants a black man. And she knows that black men are the group of men who are the most willing to betray who he is, breed out who he is in order to give her what she wants. Because you don't see Southeast Asians going around, even though they put a high value on whiteness, you don't see them going around giving their eumelanin to just anybody. Culturally, they only want to date their own. They only want to procreate with their own. So she understands that I need this eumelanin, and the group of men who are most likely to give it to me because of their self-hatred, because they don't covet what they have, are African American men. So that is why she's saying she wants them. I want you for your eumelanin. Now, other groups of women, now other women will say she like his do-rag, she like his swag, she likes his athleticism, the way he kisses, and so on and so forth. All superficial, nothing meaningful. But she's saying, hey, I understand what society is. I understand genetics far better than this black man does. And I understand that in order for my legacy to survive, I need you, Melanin. So that is what she's after. You're nothing more than a piece of biology to her. But I want you guys to look at this comment section so you can see what I'm talking about, and then I'll come back with more commentary. Saw those comments, and so you saw comments from black men and men of no color and some black women as well, where you see the level of cognitive dissonance where they just don't understand how a woman of no color would want them for nothing more than their biology. They simply just don't get it. So you see a lot of cognitive dissonance. But I want to point out this one from this near man who said she technically is just going to use a black guy so her legacy can continue. Then you have a black woman on here saying, basically, keep in mind this video has nothing to do with black women. But what do you see? A black man coming on here saying, stop overthinking. Many black women treat their kids like ATMs, but that's okay. White woman wants her kids to survive and y'all are bugging. So he's bringing black women into a situation that doesn't have anything to do with black women. This video has nothing to do with black women. You saw a video with a struggle black man in there asking a woman of no color, does she prefer men of no color or black men, and why? So nothing about this has anything to do with black women, yet you have a black man in here bringing black women into the situation in order to justify desiring this group of women who desire them for nothing more than either a taboo kink, biology, or in the case of high profile women of no color, so that they can boost their careers. But it's never anything genuine. It's never a desire to know him, get to know him, celebrate him, or anything like that. She's simply interested in what she can siphon from him and then move on to her own community, because again, she is the woman that gives birth to the men that they complain about. So her mentality is going to be more concentrated in terms of the survival of her people. If you even look at women of no color, when they have biracial kids, they don't see them as black and they don't want any remnants of black on them. So they're not going to black men to have black children. They know and understand that their children will not be black. They understand that their children will most likely resemble them, will take on their mindset, will relate more to them, and they will also go and procreate with people who look like their mothers, the women of no color, and will therefore continue that legacy, just like she said, except with more enhanced genetics. That is what they're doing. But when you have this mentality of black men where they need this validation, it doesn't matter how many women of no color come and tell them the truth. They're still going to deny, because this is their only means of feeling good about themselves, evidently. And once you take this access away, once you take this false sense of acceptance and desirability from them, they're going to really see how they are, and it will shatter whatever reality that they had. So they cling to this, and they'll bring black women into it. They'll scapegoat, they'll gaslight, they'll deflect, all as a means of clinging to that fantasy that someone that looks so different than them, that's on the top of the food chain, actually desires them. This is why they'll take a woman of no color, no matter how she's packaged, because it is her whiteness that is of benefit to her. But what is the actual product of a black man and a woman of no color? See, because they can sit up here and they can tell you how much they love these women. They can tell you how feminine these women are, how great of mothers, how much better they are than black women. But how do they treat these women? Do they really treat these women like they're better? Do they really treat the kids like they're better? What is the outcome of it? I want you guys to take a look at this video. This video doesn't have any audio. It's literally this biracial kid sitting here with a caption over his head. And then I'll come back and we'll talk about some of these comments. Now, you guys saw this video. So there's a point where he points at the camera and he's emphasizing some lyrics in the video where the woman singing is saying, "I'm tired of this body." And so I believe that this is what he can relate to the most as a biracial male, is that he can relate most to being tired of being biracial, because you're going to see in these comments a similar pathology around these children. Keep in mind, if you read the caption, it says, "Do any other mixed kids with mothers of no color feel like they were just a product of the fetishization of black men by women of no color, or is it just me?" Now, you heard the woman in the video prior to this say that the only reason she wants a black man is for the melanin. We see videos all over YouTube, Facebook, etc., where women of no color very boldly express the desire they have for black men, and it is based on fetishization. So basically, you have a woman who has a taboo and a kink that she wants to get off, and a man who has a deep-seated self-hatred. He's literally drowning in an ocean of his own self-loathing, coming together to create a child. And then that child has a pathology based on the mother. And these comments are very revealing, and they'll tell you all you want to know. Take a look at these comments, and then I'll come back for my final commentary. Now, you guys saw those comments, and I can tell you, based on personal experience with my biracial nephews and nieces who have women of no color as mothers, this is very much true. I'm not saying that this doesn't exist at all when the mother is black, because it does. However, the degradation of self-image isn't present when there is a black mother the way that it is with the mother of no color. I want to point out this comment where you had this person, I don't know if it's a male or female, say, yeah, my self-worth was destroyed by my mother of no color, who constantly talks about the fact that I'm mixed and I'm so lucky. So you have a woman of no color who is basically telling her child that the only value that child has is in its white genetics. And that's because these women don't value blackness. They're there for a kink, but they're getting pregnant because when sex happens, women get pregnant. That is what it is. It's procreation. And then you have the product of that. A lot of the women do go into these situations specifically so they can create a kink baby, basically, that is going to have tanner skin, but the same phenotype. And you have to understand that these women are creating the children to look how they wish that they looked. They want their children to look the way that they spend all of this money on tanning and lip injections and booty injections and all of the enhancements. They want to look like that, so they're creating children that looks like that because they cannot. They basically just want a white person with a permanent tan at the end of the day. And they make no bones about it. Look at the Kardashians. All of the Kardashians have spent billions of dollars trying to make themselves look like racially ambiguous black women. And then they went and did what? Created racially ambiguous looking black women who will naturally have all of the features that they lack. So you have a dynamic going on here. But look at this other comment by this biracial female who said, my mom once said that she had me and my brother because you can't buy/own them anymore, and try to justify it as a joke. And by them, she means black people. Since you can't own black people anymore, then she's going to create some half black people that she can own. This right here tells you why interracial access never got anybody off any plantation. And it tells you that this will not be the catalyst to anything. Racial issues and the mentalities are just as prevalent now as they were since the establishment of this country. The only people who are confused are the black people who want to be in these relationships. In all of those comments, you saw the mixed people who had a mother of no color all agreeing and saying the same thing. There was a couple of them saying, well, I can't relate because I have a black mother. And then what did you also see? A black man come on there and try to turn this into a situation about black women and her relationships with men of no color, when this isn't about that. You have this woman, Angie, saying, can't relate, I have a black mom. Then you have a black man coming and saying, and black females aren't fetishes to men of no color. You haven't seen ghetto gaggers. Now keep in mind, ghetto gaggers is niche market porn, so that's irrelevant to this. They're not creating children on a porn set. Then you have a woman of no color who says the video literally says, do other mixed kids with white moms? So maybe that's why she said, can't relate, I have a black mom. So you have this woman of no color correcting this man and letting him know this doesn't have anything to do with black women, but you're bringing black women into it. So then he says, nope, you're wrong, and I was being mean on purpose. Mind your business, super lib. But in any other situation, he would be praising this woman as his preference. But once she comes and corrects him and says, hey, dude, your self-hatred and jealousy of your female counterparts is showing this is not about black women, then he tells her to mind her own business. When in any other situation, he would be literally praising her for the beautiful Stargate snow bunny that he thinks that she is. But that's why I said in every situation, even when it doesn't involve a black woman, you'll have one of these dusty mentality having dudes coming on here making it about black women. Because again, there's two people who they always have to involve in their decisions, which is black women and men of no color. And based on the fact that they're pointing out that these unions between black men and women of no color is not conducive to anything positive, he's getting triggered. See, because they'll run around and glorify these relationships, and then when people speak on the outcome, which is their children and the mentality that their children have and the fact that they're unmarried, they're single moms, and they're on welfare, then you'll have them either running around completely outright denying it or getting triggered and bringing black women into it, when this doesn't have anything to do with black women. This is about black men. All of these videos were about black men and their preference and their advertisement of their relationships with women of no color. But when you get to the product of that and you say, hey, these children who have black fathers are confused and they have a broken identity because of the homes that they're coming from, which really shows black male pathology, then it becomes a problem. Because at the end of the day, these women don't really like these men. These men are her kink. She likes him for bedroom activities and the fact that he can give her melanin, which she does not possess. Beyond that, this is nothing that's meaningful. And that's why globally we see this being the product. We see this being the product. And it just is what it is. So they can make it about black women. You have some biracial people who have black mothers who don't want to identify as being black, and rightfully so because they're not. But how many biracial women who have black mothers comes out and says that I believe that I'm a product of a kink? Or who says that my mother told me that the only reason why she had me is because she can no longer own black people. That doesn't happen when the mother is black. And quite frankly, the powers that be who are orchestrating the promotion of this, they understand that the mentality of a biracial person with a black mother is completely different than the pathology of a biracial person with a woman of no color as the mother. That's why they promote it mostly with black men and women of no color. Number one, because they know black men are more acceptable. And number two, because they know black men are going to produce the outcome that they need in order to create more people of no color, which is what the woman said is the reason why she likes them. So really all of this ties together. All of this has a purpose. Black men are not just running around here with access to women of no color for no reason. The men are not triggered by this. They don't care. I haven't seen a post where black men waiving access to these women and men of no color faces, and they actually have said they care. I've never seen them say that they've cared. In fact, all I hear is, we don't care. We're getting your black women too. You're taking our scraps while we're getting beautiful black queens. That's exactly what they're saying, and that's what they're doing. Add to that, they realize that you're not erasing them, you're erasing yourself. So you're actually helping to accomplish their goals in so many different ways. I'm telling you, black male self-hatred is very profitable to everyone, but specifically men of no color. And until black men start valuing themselves and start valuing their women, then they're going to stay losing. I'm telling you guys, in the very near future, things are going to get worse and worse and worse for black men because they refuse to acknowledge their pathology. They refuse to self-correct. So the universe and men of no color is correcting their behavior for them. But you guys let me know what you think about this. I think this was very eye-opening in terms of the psychology of interracial dating.
Like,
because of the scarcity.
If you grow up as a white girl,
Yes.
and you get attention from black guys,
Yes.
in my experience and all the other white girls that I know, we don't think that getting attention from black guys gives you a status of some sort. If you get attention from the white guys, you do have the status more than if you get attention from black guys.
As a man, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with that.
Well, as a woman who gets attention and who grew up in a white culture more than a black culture, I'm going to tell you that getting attention from black guys is not a badge of honor if you're white.
Okay.
And I'm white.
You are white.
Yes.
Get in the comment section, weigh in, let me know what you think. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and I'll see you in the next one.